The show that you're about to listen to may contain themes of violence, occult activity, strong language, and other sensitive material, as well as a trigger warning. This podcast is meant for educational purposes only, and we mean nothing but respect to the parties involved. Listener discretion is advised. We strive to tell stories in a truthful manner, but press, media, and other sources cannot be verified. Sources can be found in the show notes.
Hello.
We be back.
I need to adjust. Hold on. Okay. I was too far away from the mic. I'm better now. Yes.
Yes.
It's kind of chilly in this room. You do have a sweatshirt on.
I
have a t-shirt and shorts on and my shoes off. I don't know. I always take my shoes off. I don't know. I feel like we got our talkies out.
We did, because we've been chatting for a good hour about
instead
concert
of recording.
tickets.
Yes, we've been trying to find concert tickets for everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Not looking too good.
Not looking too good for us, but
no.
We'll figure it out.
Sometimes hit my knee.
What?
I just hit my knee.
Oh, sometimes they get cheaper the longer time goes on.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes they get cheaper, and that the one that we're looking at is definitely a year away. So I think
There's plenty of time.
We got time to figure something out, sell something, start a fundraiser. No, we could like sell clothes.
I mean, both of our birthdays are coming up.
Well, yeah, we could like literally be like, I want Ticketmaster gift cards, please.
But Starbucks.
But that's true. I'd be making like $200 to Starbucks on my birthday every year. Everybody just gets me a Starbucks gift card, and they fund it for that's like a month, in a good month.
I give that like 3 months.
I don't.
I don't go. I go like. Well, I don't have coffee at my house right now.
Yeah.
That's my issue.
I made my coffee this morning like a good person, and then I made you still go get me Dunkin'.
You didn't make me.
I didn't make you, but I still sent you money and was like, please.
Yeah.
And so I was less good. I didn't get lunch today, though. So, well, I did. I brought a lunch from home. I packed my lunch.
I'm proud.
Instead of going out to eat. So I'm trying to save money. It's not working good. But alas, I'm figuring it out.
Alas,
I'm figuring it out. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Big sleepy hours.
It is big sleepy. I woke up way too early this morning.
Gotcha.
And I've been waking up like at 9 by myself, which sucks. And that's just not me.
I woke up at 6:50 on my own yesterday.
That's you. That's not me. I'm a sleep till noon kind of girly.
I normally am too.
I sleep so late, so bad normally, that on the weekends I have to set alarms to wake up, or else I just won't wake up.
It happens.
It does. Anywho, it's a me talkies today, and I have compiled a kind of a list, in a way, episode of things. Today I'm going to be talking about some vampires, because I really like vampires, and I really like supernatural things, and werewolves are definitely my favorite, but I do love vampires of all shapes and sizes.
We're on the different side of the spectrum here, because I'm more of a zombie.
Yeah, no, I'm a vampire, werewolf, ghost kind of girly.
I'm more zombie ghost.
Really?
I feel like both of them right now.
Really? If there's a cute ghost, then count me in.
But what if they're mean?
Then don't count me in. Cute werewolves, my favorite brand. Cute vampires, even better. Yes. Maybe this episode's purely self-indulgent for me. Maybe, because I just be loving all the creepy spookies. Let's see. I think I plugged this in long enough for me to be able to unplug it and move it. And if my laptop dies, then
it dies.
Whoopsie daisy. So, let's begin. In the modern era of media, vampires are very popular. So we know this. We see them everywhere. There's like a new vampire movie every month, I feel like.
I give it less than a month.
Less than a month?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Including like TV.
And TV, yeah. But I feel like there's not as many vampire shows as there was.
Oh, yeah, no.
Like in the 2010s, there was like True Blood, Vampire Diaries. Like
Wizards of Waverly Place had a vampire.
Oh my gosh, yes. And it was Bridget Mendler.
Yeah.
And then they also had a werewolf, and that was Greg Sulkin. And that was
Yep.
probably my first white boy of the month ever.
Wow.
I literally vividly remember it. So vividly.
That's funny.
Like, there was an episode in the castle, and it was Alex and Justin, and then they both had, like, Alex had her little werewolf boyfriend, and Justin had the vampire girlfriend, and they were in the castle, and they were, like, fighting. I remember it so vividly.
Maybe we should have an episode based off of, like, 2010's TV shows and rank them.
That would be fun. That would be really fun.
Like, do all of, like, Cartoon Network,
Yeah.
Nickelodeon,
Yeah. That would be fun.
Disney Channel.
That'd be really fun.
Because then we could go ham.
We could go ham. So, like we've mentioned, they're featured in so many movies, and they're very romanticized in the culture of just the world. But there's a lot of lore behind vampires, and there's a lot of different type of vampires, and each vampire in every project is very different from one another, which I like picking that out. So, vampires are normally evil mythological beings who roam the world at night searching for people to feed from. That's like typically what we know. Vampires drink blood, mostly human, and most people associate vampires with Bram Stoker's Dracula. Bram Stoker's Dracula came out in 1897. So that was a very long time ago. And the novel has never been out of print since that time.
Wow.
So that's kind of crazy.
That's impressive.
Vampires drain their victims using sharp fangs. Originally, a vampire would turn the victim into a vampire, him or herself. But in more contemporary versions, vampires may just feed and suck the victim of all of his or her blood, leaving them dead. So it could go either way. I think I just word vomited. I'm excited.
I'd be like that.
I love vampires so much. So typically vampires hunt at night in most stories, and the sun destroys them.
And they don't like garlic.
They can't enter a house without being invited in. So that's like just a bunch of lore behind them.
Did you watch that Disney Channel movie? I don't remember what it's called.
My Babysitter's a Vampire? Because
No.
that was my shit.
That wasn't on Cartoon Network, was it?
You said Disney Channel.
Oh, shoot. I meant Cartoon Network. It always came on around Halloween time. Really, really weird graphics.
It was like a cartoon?
Yeah.
Is it the one about the witch?
Yeah!
Oh my gosh, yes. I can literally see it right now because I was at my high school. Why? Because I'm 20 and been graduated. I don't know. I was just sitting there. And the teacher that I was with put it on. And we were watching it. And I was like, this is awful. But then I was like, I love it.
I remember watching it all
It
the
was
time
it's
during
the
Halloween.
little girl.
Yeah.
And she's
For the two other kids?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What is it called?
I don't
It's
remember.
free on YouTube.
Is it?
Yes.
I might have to watch
It's
that
free
later.
on YouTube.
I was going to watch the third episode of Dead City.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, watch it. It's good. What's it called?
It's like I can literally vividly see it, and it's so awfully animated.
I know. That's the
Like,
best part
bad.
of it.
It's crunchy bad.
Scary Godmother.
Yes.
I forgot about the purple monster.
I forgot too. That is such like a in my brain thing.
I forgot about the kids' eyebrows.
Yes, they were so. Yes.
Why did we watch this?
I don't know.
It was so good,
I
but
remember
so bad.
My mom used to record it for me. I can't wait for Halloween. I literally just watched both of the Hocus Pocus movies over again. I love them so much. Yeah, I like the second one. It's not that bad. Maybe it's just a nostalgic thing. But just like the Teen Wolf movie, I loved that. But I think it's just a recency bias. I liked it, though. But vampires normally possess super strength and the ability to hypnotize. but not all vampires in the media today hypnotize things. I feel like there's only one, maybe two of the vampires that I'm going to mention had like the hypnotizing thing that they did. Vampires cannot be seen in mirrors and also do not cast a shadow.
That's what brought me to the Scary Godmother movie.
Yeah.
Because I remember was it the dad vampire that couldn't go through the door?
I can't remember. I literally
Somebody couldn't go through the door. I'm like, why?
Why? Yeah, because they have to be invited in. So the first vampire was Vlad Dracula, and he was born in Transylvania, Romania. He ruled a part of Romania on and off from 1456 to 1462. Historically, he is often viewed as a brutally cruel warrior king who kept the Ottoman Empire from invading his lands. He earned the name of Vlad the Impaler. So he was a pretty intense dude. His favorite way to kill people was to impale them on wooden stakes. The legacy surrounding Vlad is based in part on his reputation for being cruel. It is said he enjoyed dining amidst his victims and dipped his bread in their blood.
Ew.
Yes, but he was a vampire.
Still.
It is believed Bram Stoker's Dracula was partly inspired by the stories of Vlad Dracula. In fact, Stoker's Dracula and the historic Vlad share the drinking of blood in the wooden stake myth. Vampire superstition became popular in the Middle Ages in Europe, especially during the Black Plague. So it's kind of like the witch thing where people were like, witch. Mm-hmm. They were like, vampire. The plague decimated the population back then. It was pretty bad. People died and often had bleeding mouth lesions.
Ouch.
Which became a sure sign of vampirism to them. Like they saw this and they were like, yeah, that's a vampire. They also may have gotten a blood disorder that caused severe blisters on the skin when exposed to sunlight. So that's not good.
No.
That's being like allergic to sunlight.
That is an actual disorder.
It is. That's, yeah. Some of the symptoms of that disorder could be temporarily relieved by the patient consuming human blood.
Ew.
Yeah. Other diseases blamed for causing or leading to vampirism include rabies. They were like, vampire,
Rabies,
rabies, If a person who was suspected of being a vampire died in the Middle Ages, sometimes a wooden stake would be pounded into his or heart.
His or her heart? I got you. The sigh.
His or her heart upon burial. Others were decapitated before the coffin was sealed. Some corpses, even up to the 19th century, were burned.
Wow.
So they were not playing with these, the vampire. And I feel like they never played with anything back then.
No.
Like, I feel like they were always like, witch, vampire, anything. Werewolf.
Zombies, too.
Zombies, yes. Anything. They were like, seems about right. They were like a big gray wolf terrorizing the city, werewolf. So nothing was normal back then. They always had to be something supernatural. We're on to our first show, which you haven't seen.
Teen Wolf? No, it wouldn't be Teen Wolf.
No.
Well, I haven't seen it.
Teen Wolf has no vampires in it. So it's strictly like werewolves in Teen Wolf. They have werewolves, banshees. They have kitsunes, which are like a fox creature. What else? Oh, were-coyotes. Hello?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
Chupacabra.
There's no chupacabras in Teen Wolf. There's, never mind. I'm not going to say what else is in Teen Wolf because I refuse to say the word.
Oh, I know what the word is.
But they have those in Teen Wolf.
Really?
Yeah. They're not like the way they're described typically in culture, like today, but like they're there. The Beast of Gévaudan is in Teen Wolf for a season. So they're pulling lore from kind of everywhere. There's the Jaguar Queen of Mexico. I can't remember her name. Yeah, they were going off the rails sometimes. Why can't I remember? They were like mixing the creatures. So like they were like, there was like these doctors, like these witch doctors in one season that like were like making weird shit. Like they were mixing like the base, there was a kid that could turn invisible and like he was half chameleon. It got kind of crazy. I love that. Weird. I stand by that show. It's the best show ever. But it was getting a little crazy after season 3. They were going off the rails.
Gotcha.
So, the Vampire Diaries.
Lauren Cohan was in it.
Yes, she was. She was in season 2. And she was incredible.
I might have to watch it just for her.
Yes. So, in the Vampire Diaries, vampires were created by witches starting off. Like the whole thing. So, there's a group of vampires called the Originals, which then based the show The Originals off them. But the Originals is a group of, how many are there? There's Freya, Cole, Klaus, why can't I remember all of them? Elijah, and Rebecca. So 5. There was 5 of them, and their siblings and their mom. One of them died, and the mom was like, I can't have my kid die. So then she turned him into a vampire with her magic. And that's how vampires were created in this universe.
What in the hell?
Yeah. I love it, though. And then she was like, well, one of my kids can't just be different. And then
make them
all different.
Yeah.
And then also in this show, or with the Originals, one had the werewolf gene. So he's a hybrid. And so he's half vampire and half werewolf.
What in the
but
hell?
To awaken the werewolf side of him, you have to kill somebody. So when he first killed, his first person as a vampire, that awakened the werewolf gene in him. So that made him a hybrid.
Whoa.
Whoa.
My brain just broke.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I kind of like that, lore in the show. And that's why, the Vampire Diaries, vampires are, my favorite set of vampires from any movie or show. Because they're so normal, but then they still have, the speed and the strength and the everything. But they don't have, fancy eyes or whatever. They have to wear rings. They can't go out into the sunlight. They have to wear rings. They can compel people, which is hypnotizing them. And they, they have to be invited in. There's that typical stuff, but then they're unique in their own way. And I really like that. So a human who has consumed a vampire's blood in some way and then dies will be changed into a vampire. And then the vampire's blood can also heal a person, but if they then die, then they're a vampire. Oh. So, yeah. Let's see. The exact nature of a human's death is irrelevant to them changing. So, they could die in any way, except for being, completely demolished, and they will be a vampire. Vampires have super strength, speed, and healing, and the older they get, the more powerful they are.
That makes sense, though.
Yep. Holy water and crosses do not hurt them, but an herb called vervain does. Vervain is a purple flower, kind of looks like lilac and stuff. And people will, dose themselves with it, and then, the vampire can't compel them. When they, go to suck the person's blood, it will, literally, burn them. So vervain is fun. Some people wear bracelets with it on too in the show, which is cool. They have a reflection in the Vampire Diaries, and fire, decapitation, and wood to the heart can kill them. Let's go. I'm just so excited. I've completely went over the Originals part that I typed up and I already said the part about the Originals. Up to a certain age, a vampire in these shows can flip a switch called their humanity switch. And it just takes all the humanity from them. So they'll be like, I'm depressed. I want to be evil. And then they just flip a switch and then just kind of just start murdering everybody. Yeah. There's a type of vampire called a ripper in these shows, which that just means they have completely no self-control over themselves once they feed. They just completely decimate a person, shred them up. So that's cool. And that's the version of the vampire from the Vampire Diaries universe. So there's the Vampire Diaries, the Originals, and then Legacies in that universe. 3 shows. Legacies kind of sucks. But the Originals is cool. So, and they're my favorite type. Can you guess what's next?
Twilight?
Yes.
I thought they were going to be first.
No. I probably could have started off first, but I wanted to start with like good vampires first. I do love the Twilight movies though. A lot. I've
only seen like 1.5 of them.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I love Twilight. So
the
Twilight
is just so bad.
It is really bad, but I love it. I love it very much. Yeah. That's probably why I am the way I am, honestly. It's because my mom let me watch Twilight when I was literally like 5.
When did Twilight come out?
Like 2009. I remember watching it for the first time. I was in Arkansas visiting my grandparents. And we watched it out in the living room as a family.
Wow.
Yeah. So Twilight was and still is a very popular vampire story. It is also heavily criticized.
It's very criticized.
Valid reasons. The series started off as books and then turned into movies. Vampires, also known as the Cold Ones, are the primary supernatural creatures of the Twilight universe. They are a species of crystallized, immortal beings who feed on the blood of humans or animals to survive. Crystallized, like, I got deep into the Twilight lore here explaining things, so I hope you're ready. Vampires in this version are not like ones from other stories and traditions. This is often referenced in other series, like the Vampire Diaries. They like to poke fun at Twilight for some of the things that is done in these movies. So all of the vampires have refined and perfect skin that is flawless and textured with a marble-like substance that's much harder and stronger than granite. And due to the crystal-like properties of their cells, when a vampire is exposed to sunlight, their body will sparkle. Which, okay,
Why sparkle?
I don't know. The author who wrote, Stephanie Meyer, was just popping off when she was writing this stuff. Like, she was like, yeah, and these vampires are going to sparkle.
I mean, good for her.
She was, but why? I don't know. Sparkling's a little far to me.
Or is that like a different, does she want to use a different term but use that one instead?
Maybe.
Like, she might have emphasized trying to use a different word.
Maybe.
That would make the most sense to me.
In Twilight, they literally sparkle.
Isn't the CG and shit a whole bunch, like, it's not good?
The CG? I mean, I haven't watched it since I've been down here where I literally analyze movies. I don't think it's bad. It might be bad.
I don't remember. I know
I could see him and he takes his shirt off and they're on the cliff and he goes, "This is the skin of a killer, Bella."
I know the CG in The Walking Dead is pretty bad.
I might have
in the earlier seasons.
I might have to watch one of the I wonder if Livy will be, because she really likes them too.
We can watch them on the wall.
The wall?
Watch them on the wall.
On the projector?
Yeah.
In the classroom?
Yeah.
True.
Good.
4K Twilight.
There you go.
Incredible. So like she's deep in depth with like the things that she wrote for her vampires, her version of the vampires. So like their eyes, there's the 2 different color of eyes for the vampires in Twilight. Some of them have gold eyes and some of them have completely blood red eyes. The blood red eyes means that they eat humans, and the gold eyes, like the Cullens have, means that they eat like animals, and like they're vegetarian vampires is like the label for that.
That's not even vegetarian.
I know. They also have strong senses and are able to hear for miles and see in total darkness. Vampires are immortal unless destroyed. They do not sleep and they spend all day and nights awake. After transformation, a few vampires will show special abilities, such as foresight or telepathy. They will gain these powers based on a personality or physical trait from their past lives. Most of them, however, do not have these abilities. Vampires are unharmed by garlic or holy items and wooden stakes. They have reflections and shadows and are able to walk freely in the sunlight without being damaged by it. They only sparkle. I don't know. She was really popping off with her vampires. kind of cringy sometimes.
I still think that she meant it in a different way.
Really?
And the director said, nah, we're going to make them sparkle.
I genuinely think I'm going to have to go and read that scene in the book. I wonder if it's free on Kindle, because then I can pull it up right now.
I would think so.
Some books aren't. Like Dune isn't free on Kindle. I was trying to read it, and I was really sad. I can recite the whole first part of Twilight Eclipse from memory.
Impressive.
Talent.
Yes.
I've been able to do it since I was little. Like, I'm talking, I was 11 doing this.
Jesus Christ.
It starts, some say the world will end in fire, but some say in ice. But from what I've tasted of desire, I hold with thee who favor fire. And if I had to perish twice, yeah, I could go on. That's talent right there, guys.
That is.
That's just because I watched it so many times.
Yeah.
Because I'm crazy. So we've mentioned a cringy vampire. We've mentioned one that's my favorite, but this is my, like, favorite movie. I'm a sucker for an 80s movie. Just, like, a bad 80s movie. Give me one. And so we're going to cover an 80s vampire cult classic before we get into one other thing that I thought would be fun to talk about in this episode. The Lost Boys is a 80s cult classic vampire movie that I watched for the first time last year and just completely fell in love with.
I didn't know it was a vampire movie.
It doesn't look like a vampire movie.
Because you rave about it.
I love it so much. It's vampires. And, like, there's this look of vampire is the, like, coolest thing. The coolest one. And there will be pictures of it. They're just the way they did their eyes. I love their eyes. But they look completely normal. Like, in the show, unless they're, like, attacking somebody. That's when their fangs come out and their eyes turn color and they get, like, talons, like, long fingernails.
Ew.
And it's just, the practical makeup and everything is incredible for this movie. I watched this movie for the first time, like, a year ago, and then I just kept watching it over and over again. I got to see it in theaters in October because they brought it to where we live, and I was just so good. It's insanely quotable. Like, I'm talking some of these lines with I love it so much, Tegan. It's so good. I'm gonna cry. No, I'm not. But just one of the lines I want tattooed on me, it's like they're eating Chinese food and they're, like, just chilling in, like, this dungeon type, like, it's like a sunken in hotel that, like, sunk in because of, like, a fault line because they're in California, and they're eating Chinese food and they use, like, the mind compelling. They have the mind compelling, and Kiefer Sutherland's character David is, like, entrancing a new guy to come join their vampire gang, and he's like, "You're eating worms, Michael." And then Michael sees, like, worms in his Chinese food, and then he throws down the Chinese food box, and he looks at it and they're back to noodles. And then the character David goes, "They were just noodles, Michael." And it's so incredible. Or, like, death by television. Oh, I love it. And it's, like, it's a family story too, because it's, like, older brother Michael and younger brother Sam moved to a new town. Their mom just got divorced. They're living with their grandpa now. They're not having a good time, you know? Then Michael becomes a vampire. Like, So, in this universe, the vampires are the undead supernatural beings born from humans who have drunk the blood of a vampire after being drained drained of their own blood. So, yes. Let's see. It's kind of just the same lore. They can't be seen in mirrors. And this one, I lost my train of thought. In this one, they are harmed by holy objects and stakes and holy water. So, like, there's a bunch of cool kill scenes with, like, crosses and holy water. There's, like, a holy water bathtub and stuff in this movie. And it's like a 1:30 clank. Like, it's 90 minutes. It's not awful.
It's not bad.
Why is my computer lagging out? Hello?
Probably because of the battery.
My battery is fine.
That's what happens when the battery gets low, though.
It is. So they have immortality, superhuman strength, stamina, fangs, talons, speed, senses, agility. These ones can fly. They sleep upside down. They have monster grippers, man.
It's freaking bats.
Literally, that's like, think that, and they're in a cave and they're sleeping upside down, hanging by their feet.
I don't like that.
In some scenes in this movie. Like, that's the kind of vampires these are. Weaknesses: garlic, sunlight. They have to be invited into a home, holy water, stake through the heart, decapitation, fire, and ashes, like mountain ash and stuff like that. So these ones are pretty stereotypical. When you think vampire, you might think of this type of vampire. That's just like a way that all three of these vampires compare to each other in ways, but they're all so different from each other as well. People in real life sometimes think they're vampires.
Yeah.
And although true vampirism as it is portrayed in mythology and literature is not real, communities of self-identified vampires can be found on the internet.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's kind of crazy. Most of these modern vampires keep to themselves and typically conduct their feeding rituals, which may include drinking human blood in private.
Ew.
Like, they actually, like, drink human blood.
Gross.
It is very gross. Some vampires do not ingest human blood, but they are energy vampires, and that just means they feed off of people's energies. Yeah. We're going to get into a little true crime element of this, and we're going to end the episode after this little element. But there have been many true crime cases where people commit the act of murder and then the consumption of blood.
That has been a theme throughout Criminal Minds, I think, isn't it?
I think so.
It happened a couple of times, I thought.
I definitely think it did.
Like in the earlier seasons.
Yeah. It definitely did. So there is a man named Rod Farrell who was one of these murderers. I'm going to keep this short, and maybe we can do a full episode on this in the future.
How is his last name spelled?
Ferrall.
Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be actual feral, like Feral.
No, that would be... I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing that right, but that's how I would... Farrell. Rod Farrell. Maybe. But I'm going to keep this short. Maybe we can do a full episode on this, because I just wrote out the basic, like, what happened of it. So Roderick Justin Farrell, age 16, left Murray, Kentucky on November 22nd with a confirmed cult of members: Howard Scott Anderson, 16, Charity Kesey, age 16, and Dana Cooper, 19. They planned to pick up Heather Wendorf. Their destination was New Orleans. According to all accounts, Heather's plan was to run away from home. The group arrived in Eustis and Anderson's Buick. They got a flat tire. Farrell, I think it might be Farrell.
It sounds Farrell, like by
it
how
does.
It's spelled.
Farrell decided to take Heather's parents' car, and the group met Heather down the road from their house. Farrell and Anderson got out of the car. The two stayed behind while Cooper took Heather Huber's house. And then there's some, like, one of the members of this cult, like, came out and wrote a book about this, so that's pretty cool.
Did you read the book?
I did not read the book. I would like to read the book if I do a full episode on this. Rod believed that he was a 500-year-old vampire named Vesigo, a character he created for himself after becoming obsessed with the role-playing game Vampire: The Masquerade. It was his mother, Sandra Gibson, who first introduced the game to Rod. And then this leads to the murder of one of the girls' parents that was with them. So Naomi Ruth Queen and Richard Wendorf were found by their daughter Jennifer, beaten to death in their Eustis home. Rod had killed them while they were on their little escapade being vampires. And he did it with a crowbar. Which, yes. As After killing him, Ruth found Farrell and Anderson in the home. Farrell also bludgeoned. I'm skipping around so bad. Bashing her in the head with a crowbar. In 1988, Farrell did plead guilty to the double slaying of the couple from Eustis, Florida, becoming the youngest person in Florida on death row.
Wow.
Yeah, he was like 16. And so he did all this because they formed their little vampire cult. And
Why is Florida so crazy?
I don't know.
Everything happens in Florida.
You're right. So vampires are a part of human culture, and they're something that many people like me are fascinated by. There are so many versions of vampires. I just love them very much. I jump aboard every time a new vampire movie is introduced. Like, there was two that came out within the last year. The Invitation, which was just like, it was like, I don't even know. It was like vampire in a castle, and he's a prince, and this girl who she thinks like he's her cousin, or like, yeah, it's crazy. It's off the rails. But he invites her to this castle, and she meets this guy, and he tricks her into becoming his wife, but he's a vampire. So then she becomes a vampire, and then at the end they become vampire hunters. Yeah. And then there was Renfield with Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult.
Cage movies are always really good or really bad.
It was mid. It was mid. I enjoyed it. He played Dracula. Then Renfield, his right-hand man, was going around, but Renfield was trying to escape Dracula. That one was off the rails too. And then there's a new one coming out that's just like a regular, like, not off the rails Dracula movie. It was like set in old times, based on a boat, everything. I'm excited for that one. Hopefully that one's better than what else has came out this last couple of years with vampires. Last little fun fact is that Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac watched Twilight and loved it so much that she wrote a whole album on it.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's kind of cool.
So I love that album. There's one song called Moonlight, A Vampire's Dream, and it just breaks down the meadow scene from the Twilight movies. And it's so pretty because it's Stevie Nicks, and I love her. And that's me rambling about vampires for however long because I love them. There's so many hot vampires. I digress.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Gotta move my mic so it doesn't.
Yeah, I
almost
know
fall
you're
on me
tipping
again.
your mic over.
I'm sorry.
I need to use the bathroom.
I need some candy.
There's candy.
Don't have to tell me twice.
Anywho, follow us on the social media.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we leave you for this ranty mess of literally me just talking.
Vampires.
Just vampires.
I don't know much about vampires.
I love vampires.
I've never been into vampires.
I love them so much. I love werewolves as well, so maybe I'll do a rambly werewolf talk about werewolves.
Maybe.
Anywho, it's bathroom break time. We'll see you.
See ya
we'll
later.
talk to you, not see you.
We'll talk to you later.
We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Adios.